It's a pleasure to have everyone that is here. I would like to recognize colleagues that are here from the Africa Development Bank, colleagues that are coming from AU Start Afrique, yourselves, distinguished delegates coming from different entities and institutions, for being with us this morning. It is my pleasure to welcome you again to ECA headquarters, and in particular to the data validation workshop for the 2022 Africa Statistical Yearbook. As you are all aware, the Africa Statistical Yearbook serves as a cornerstone for the evidence-based decision-making across our continent, and your institutions' contribution during this expert group meeting are critical and very much invaluable. The data validation is not just an academic exercise, and that's important to rule that one, that we are not just doing it for the sake of doing it. It is an exercise that allows us to be able to have a statistical yearbook that forms as a backbone of our monitoring and evaluation of key socio-economic indicators which cut across the Sustainable Development Goals and aspirations of the African Union Agenda 2063, among other critical frameworks, including the national development plans in countries. These ambitious frameworks heavily rely on the timely and reliable information which you as countries provide. Your role, therefore, in ensuring that data is accurate and ready for publishing cannot be overemphasized, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So, distinguished delegates, in this era of increased data demand, both in volume and frequency, a plethora of techniques have emerged, including the use of data science, big data, and the artificial intelligence, among others, to respond to the shifting dynamics in the data ecosystem. Therefore, it is imperative that the national statistical offices, yourselves that are here, embrace the use of the emerging innovative technologies and methods to enhance the work that they do to remain relevant in the revolution where data is valued as the fuel that powers and enables sustainable development. I am pleased, therefore, to learn that the program, this particular workshop, includes the session to introduce innovative ways to improve the efficiency of the processes of the data value chain in relation to the Africa Statistical Yearbook. In keeping with these changing times and thinking outside the box, the Africa Center for Statistics is keen on introducing data science tools, including the use of analytical language such as R, Python, in addition to the emerging concept in data management and dissemination. At the country level, I encourage you, colleagues, to liaise with the UN resident coordinators as office and the UN country teams to leverage on their country presence as they play a critical role, or rather critical roles, including engaging the national development plans to ensure that the data collection efforts capture the information necessary to monitor progress against the national development objectives. And I would like to emphasize that, colleagues, that the UN resident coordinators at country level, they are the ones that are coordinating the development partners, the whole UN entities, including the bilateral and multilateral agencies. And therefore, having been very close to them gives an opportunity to be able to access some of the resources that may be available, and for you to be able to explain the kind of work that you're doing so that they can be able to support the statistical activities at country level. So the UN at country level, first of all, facilitates regular dialogues between the national statistical offices, the line ministries, civil society, and other relevant stakeholders, especially to facilitate identification of key data needs, encouraging and supporting alignment of data collection efforts of global and regional reporting frameworks, such as the SDGs and Agenda 2063. The UN in country is also providing training and technical support to strengthen the data collection and management capacities of NSOs, to empower the production of high-quality, policy-relevant data that reflects the country development context and needs. As part of what we call in the UN the Opportunities and Issues-Based Coalition, or rather the OIBC in short, which is on strengthening of data and statistics, the UN is supporting collaboration of facilitating coordination between the national statistical offices, the ministries and other producers helping to minimize duplication, improve data sharing, and ensure coherent nationally owned statistical systems. Several joint cooperation frameworks have been designed, launched, and are being implemented for the production of better statistics and data. So in conclusion, distinguished delegates, I would like to encourage you to approach the discussions with the spirit, and I mean the discussion during the couple of days that you are here, with the spirit of partnership, that we want to work together to be able to transform this continent. And this continent cannot be transformed if we are able to give it credible data that inform the policy decision making. No one else is going to do this, colleagues, until ourselves are able to do this. And I want to take the opportunity that as Pan-African institutions, the Africa Development Bank, the AU, and ourselves, I think we have an opportunity to be able to work together and come up with a common framework there where all of us can be able to tap the data that is uniform, that is consistent, that is credible, and that is able to inform the transformation of the continent. We cannot do it any other way. There is no competition at all. It is for one purpose that we are able to support. But we can only be able to do it as three institutions if you as countries provide us the data that is needed. That's the only way it can be done. Right now we are talking about data. If you look at some of our database, we are talking about data that is as outdated as 10 years ago. In some cases, 19 years ago. And you know what happens, colleagues, when you don't have data? Someone else is going to impute that data for you. That's what actually happens. Someone is going to cook it for you. And when it comes for you, you will not be able to recognize it. So let's not allow someone to cook the data for us when we know our narrative. We know the story. So we should not allow someone else to be able to cook the data for us. So let us make sure that we have GDP numbers that are correct, that are accurate and up to date, CPI numbers that are correct and up to date, the whole macro, all the sectors, the external, the fiscal, the monetary policies, and real sectors, let us have the correct data. And that will reflect what the situation. The truth, all of you, as you know, as national accounts, some of you that are here, is that the investors, when they make decisions based on the data we have in our countries. If our data is poor, it will also determine on the interest that we have to pay on that. If they have information, the interest, it will be less. So anytime we cry, oh, Africa is being charged a lot of interest, part of it is because we are giving data that's not accurate, and they cannot provide us with the right information that's required. So I really want to implore on you, colleagues, and I apologize if this sits very badly for some of you, but I think it's important that we say these things truthfully so that we can have the information that is required. So let us work together to strengthen the processes for the production of the Africa Statistical Yearbook, making it an indispensable resource for the policymakers, researchers, and those committed to the African Sustainable Development. I really want to thank you, and I wish you a very, very fruitful conversation. We're here, and again, once again, to welcome you and to this particular workshop and declare it open. Thank you very much.